saw Deray put up this tweet. And I don't know if you saw it. Only got 13 retweets, which lets you know that these people don't really have a following. They're just tools to make people feel like, well, black people are gonna be all right. He says, I got in an Uber in DC once, and the driver is like, are you Deray the activist? And I say yes, and I realized only to realize that he was quite an ADOS believer. Please, fam, pay attention to language. An ADOS believer. We had an intense drive. It was really something else. The arguments, to hearing these arguments in real life. An ADOS believer. Hearing these arguments in real life. Understand what he did there. He made us into, the best way I can describe it is he made us into like a truther or a birther. Oh, these ADOS people, they're really odd. I had something hearing the arguments in quotes in real life. The otherization of us from other ADOS is really interesting, and he's not the only one. We had your other one. We had your boy Jonathan Capehart. Live looking at the ADOS crowd reacting to a nuanced piece they didn't bother to read. Like, see, you would use little gifts. See, anybody who uses gifts to have a serious conversation is half crazy. This is not about. Understand first. The first thing you have to understand is this: Jonathan Capehart doesn't know what a nuanced argument is. He's never written one. So first of all, if you ever wrote a nuanced argument, Capehart, I would love to read it because you never write it. You're not good at this. Like, can we stop this right now? But what you see is, listen, being ADOS, and understand that Sheila Jackson Lee, who says she's, pro reparations, she retweeted this. Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee retweeted this. Mockery of us. And I have to ask myself, what is going on? Are the people who are mocking us that removed from ADOSness to understand that we're not doing something radical? And we read your piece and it was awful, but even if you hadn't read the piece, the way you casted it about an apology was awful. You are not a nuanced person. You run into walls for a lifetime. You run into walls. You can't hit a corner. You got scars on yourself because you can't hit a corner. You're not maneuvering. Who told you that? Because you could write speeches for Bloomberg? That's not true. So, but what I see too is I have to believe that you are that far removed from ADOS life to you, like you don't know what it is. Because we're not. Understand, family, we're not saying anything radical. A black agenda, that's up at ADOS 101, and reparations. There's nothing radical about anything we're saying. So for Deray to say that, it kind of makes me feel like he's saying that so he can continue to have certain experiences that the rest of us don't have. You're talking like, ADOS is American descendants of slavery. And it's talking about what we're owed. There is nothing radical or controversial. Now, people might not agree because they don't like the price tag of reparations. That's another thing altogether. But you have to really understand how Deray tried to otherize us. He didn't have to do that post with the quotes, and it was really something. So it was really something, Deray, for you to get in the car with a man. Understand this man. So the man who rides in Uber, and the man who has of course, the man who rides in the back seat of the Uber and always rides in the back seat and has his life set for him now is different and understands things differently from the man who is liquidating his car to pay bills. You're absolutely right. But for you to kind of mock that conversation and mock what he tried to share with you this is awful. And it makes you not anchored in ADOS life. I don't know what life you're anchored in. I know what life Capehart is anchored in, but I don't know what life you're anchored in. But it's not ADOS life. But you get to go on TV and represent us and talk about how you're us and you represent us. You don't, though. You mock us at every turn. When's the last time you've been home? Where you from? When last time you been there? And talk to the people there about what they going through. Was the last time? It sounds to me like the last time was that Uber ride. These are pawns. Yeah, you black. But I'm talking about experientially. I'm not talking about just like we have the same lineage. Even if you have made good money, you should be able to go home and understand what people are living and what people are going through. Why can't you do that? Why are you this limited as a human? And what that means is that you are useless to us. Not only that, you're a problem for us. Because you tell everybody else, oh, well, see, I don't know what they talking about. They kind of, cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. They kind of, They just be saying stuff. I don't know. I had an Uber driver. He was like, but it was weird. It was kind of strange. You know, to really hear those arguments in real time. So you went to, where'd you go to college, Deray? Bowdoin? B-O-W-D-O-I-E in college? But you're going to mark me, I went to Howard. And you're going to it was something. How? By what right, sir? And take off that little blue vest. That stunt is over and old. You're a grown man. Take that off. Everybody tired of that. Everybody tired of seeing you in that. You and your little puffy vest. But these people aren't there. So you have to ask yourself after that, why are these people there? Because once you really understand they don't represent you, like we always talk about flat black in terms of immigration, like it's not a flat black, right? Because I'm here and it's just not, it's not, I'm American and you here and you this and you came here and my people came. But there's another kind of, there's a flatness even in terms of our group where you get to go and live a whole nother life and speak for me and kind of mock me as some kind of other group that you don't really understand. We're not a UFO group. With the stuff that we're calling for, our black agenda is not radical. It makes perfect sense. You can outline it with numbers and data. Perfect sense. Think about who you have to be to kind of make fun of your Uber driver. You know what your Uber driver goes through? Because that's what you did. You made fun of him as a way of making fun of us. And I don't think that's just what you did. I think that's who you are. And I think that's a problem with a lot of these people having these positions that they really shouldn't have. We have people in the media. We have organizations where white capital makes better use of them than we do. So yeah, you get to go on Colbert and people be like, yeah, but he seems happy. And so we feel like something's going to happen because he seems okay. And he talks about progress, right? And I feel okay too when I see him. He's a smiling little man. And you have Capehart who, he believes in Democrats. So I'm just going to vote Democrats. So I believe that's going to be the change I believe in. I like Obama, right? So what you begin to understand is that these people shouldn't be here. Because if you're going to be here, the one thing that should happen, you should say, listen, Trump's White House is active in dismantling a Reconstruction era law that was intended to benefit me. I am not going to go on MSNBC unless I can talk about that. I don't want to talk about. I saw people like, well, why do you go against other ADOS people? Why did you go against Mark Thompson? Mark Thompson was on TV talking about what was he talking about? What foolishness? He always talking about something stupid. He was talking about women's rights and Trump's polls. You don't benefit me if that's what you're going on TV to talk about. There's no benefit. You don't benefit our group. We have very specific agendas. We don't benefit by you just going on there to talk about whatever MSNBC tells you to talk about. And y'all so thirsty. Y'all are going there to talk about anything. I just want to be on TV. I just want to be in the green room and take a picture. Let me do a selfie. I'm going to do a selfie. We do a selfie. Ha, 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 ha. God, you're thirsty to be a grown person. What kind of emotional needs or emotional deficit do you have to be on TV all the time? I've never asked anybody to put me on TV. Not ever. And if I do, if you ask me, there's going to have to be groundwork. And I know exactly what I want to talk about. And I know exactly how I want to talk about it. And if you're not going to let me talk about it that way, ain't no need for me to be here. I'm an ornament on your Christmas tree. I'm not an ornament. I don't want to be an ornament. I don't want to be the brown face or the light skin face or the brown or whatever, where you get to talk about whatever you want to talk about. I don't want to be that person. If you want to decide you want to be something in life, decide you don't want to be these people that you see on TV. They're not talking. When you go back and look at some of the interviews, if you want to talk about the good and the bad of our past leaders, go back and look at some of the interviews of the ones we know the most, because some of y'all don't know. But go back and look at a lot of what Fannie Lou Hamer said. Go back and look at a lot of what Malcolm X said, and Martin Luther King. Right? Go back and look at it. They were talking about very specific things that had to do with us for the most part. Nobody needs you. What do you know about women's rights? When the last women's rights book? Don't nobody want to hear that. You just want to be on TV.